Shalom. This parasha, as you know, is Rosh Chodesh this week. And now today is Kaf Zayin Av. As I told you last week, this is the day that my father passed away. And of course, I would like to dedicate this shiur in loving memory of my father, my rabbi, my everything. Everything I know is his, belong to him. So, Ten Afshot Tzorah B'Tzorah Chaim. I would like to dedicate also the shiur for Refuah Shlema. Refuah Shlema, somebody is very, very sick. So I would like to see the name.
Hannah
Leah. And also Dekel Ben Bruria.
Kanayat Morris Moshe Ben Deborah.
Moshe Ben Deborah. And
Yitzhak Ben Dvorah.
Yitzhak Ben Dvorah. Eliyahu Ben Chana. Asaf Ben Rachma. Yahav Ben Shlomit.
ולעילוי נשמת לאביהו מורי רפאל בן מלכה.
And also Elna Refana Lahem. ועילוי נשמת מלכה.
רפאל בן
Rafael
מלכה.
Ben Nafshot Tzorah B'Tzorah Chaim. So Parshat and Chodesh Elul, 4 Shabbatot that we have also the same parashot every year. We start Shoftim, and then Ki Tetzeh Ki Tavo, and then Nitzavim. Why I'm saying all this, what I say, the best thing is really when you are in judgment, is better to make judgment between your friend or in front of Hashem. So the best thing is really to be judged without Hashem. That's really just, for emergency, just, have no choice. So Hashem is telling us with this parashot, take care of yourself, ask forgiveness from your friend, and judge, in the lower court, not in the upper court. Lower court is, is the people. But upper court is Hashem and the angels. So how we see it from the parashot? He said, Shoftim ve'shotrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha. You should hire judges and officers, b'sha'arecha, in your city, in your gates. And then when? Ki tetzeh ki tavo. When you go out and you go in. If not, the fourth parasha, atem nitzavim hayom lifnei Hashem Elokechem. You're standing in front of Hashem. So the idea is really, really right now to start not to make any sin, especially between us and our friends. So this way, and if you have to ask forgiveness, don't be embarrassed and ask forgiveness. Kas mehila sliha. This way, if you've been judged already and your friend forgive you, Hashem promise He will forgive you too. But if you did not ask forgiveness from your friends, even Yom Kippur will not help you. So this is really the message of this 4 parashot. Or HaChaim HaKadosh said, Shoftim ve'shotrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha. By the pshat is you should hire judges and officers. But look at the beautiful word of Or HaChaim HaKadosh. He said, sha'arecha means your gates. And Or HaChaim HaKadosh said, we have our own gates. Everybody has gates. What the gates? The 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 holes in the nose, the mouth. All this is gate. So he said, if you make yourself policeman, an officer, you on yourself means you have to have self-discipline. If you are in charge of your ears, what you hear, and your eyes, what you see, and your nose, what you smell, and your mouth, what you say, you on yourself, that's the best. That's what Or HaChaim HaKadosh said. You don't have to look a policeman with uniform. And I would like, before I start the shiur, to give you an example what is to have policemen from uniform. Let's say you drive on the highway. What is the speed limit on the highway? I tell you, in Israel, is about 110 kilometers per hour. 110. So let's say I drive 100 kilometers per hour. Okay? This is good or not good?
Yes, good.
It's good. I follow the rules, the constitution. Okay, 100 kilometer per hour or 110 is pretty fast, but that's the limit. However, you drive and all of a sudden somebody pass you and you feel like you are riding a bicycle. He said, wait a minute, if I drive 110 per hour and this one passed so quick past me, he is at least 200. He said, why is driving 200? Now, tell me, is he going to reach the destination before me or not?
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
So I have surprise for you. We will meet. You know where? We have expression in Hebrew, in the light. When you have red light, but I tell you, I can see he's stuck on the highway on the side. You know why? Policemen saw him driving fast and it took him out of the road. And I drive 110, 100 and passed him. Now, what is the difference between the one who drove 200 kilometers per hour and the good driver that drive only 100? You know what the difference? Who has police? Who saw the police? So the answer is we both have police. You know the difference between one? The one who drove 200 kilometers has outsider police. Is a policeman with uniform. I have also policemen. You know who is my policeman?
My conscience,
My bidyuk. Exactly, myself. I am myself policeman for myself. And that's what Ora Haim HaKadosh, the one who has self-discipline, and you are the officer, the judges, the judge, and the policeman of yourself, that's, you get the best result. Now, in this parasha, now we're going to the parasha, there are all these Re'eh Shoftim Kitetze, we have so many mitzvot, we have more than 150 mitzvot in this parashot. But I would like to talk about specific mitzvah. The mitzvah that we see in Parashat Shoftim is to hire a king. There is a mitzvah to hire a king. However, the Torah is telling the king what he is not allowed to do in order to be successful. Okay? So let's say what the Torah really warned him not to do. Line 10. Rak lo yarbe lo susim. The king not allowed to have many horses. Why? Because if you have many horses, the consequence of horses, you go back to Egypt. He said, don't multiply horses, don't take a lot. Warning number 2, velo yarbe lo nashim. You should not have too many wives, too many women. And number 3, you know what number 3? Money. Kesef v'zahav lo yarbe lemod. You don't have to have too much money. So let's repeat. What are the 3 things that the Torah is telling the king to be careful? She said not too many horses, susim, not too many wives, nashim, not too much money and gold, kesef v'zahav. Because these 3 things that the Torah said clear to the king not to do. Now, question for you, for me to you, before I continue. Who was the king that was the wisest of all the human beings since creation of the world? Shlomo. We know Shlomo was the number 1. Do you remember which letter represent God?
Which one?
Aleph.
Aleph, very good. Do you remember what is Aleph? Aluf, champion. You know, aluf. But in Hebrew also, when you take a dog and you train him to listen to you, you know what is the verb? What?
מאלפים אותו.
What did you say?
לאלף את הכלב.
יפה, very good, le'alef. Le'alef. What is le'alef? Comes the word God. Means to put in the dog godly inside the dog. If the dog can listen to you and, you know, like a human being, he is me'ulaf. So I want you to remember this, what I'm telling you, because we need it for the shiur. Okay? But remember that Shlomo HaMelech was the wisest king and the wisest man in the world since creation, even more than Moshe Rabbeinu. Even more than Moshe Rabbeinu. He said, why you have to be? Yilmad liyirah et Hashem Elokav. If you learn to have fear of God, לשמור את כל דברי התורה הזאת, to keep the Torah, את החוקים, the constitution, the laws, לעשותם, to obey. Few weeks ago we have learned that, I don't know if I taught you or different group, but you know the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, if you have roots of a tree, okay, a lot of fruits, and you have leaves, what is more important, the leaves or the root?
The root.
The root is more important. Now you have a two kind of person. One that his action is more than his wisdom, and one that his wisdom more than his action. Which one is better?
The action more than the wisdom.
What Batya, what did you say?
The action.
Very good.
More than
He said, Rabbi Hanina said, the one who is doing the action, the real mitzvah, the first mitzvah. So if you have, then you have a lot of roots. Why? You don't say why. The leaves of the tree is the reason for the mitzvah. So what is more important, the reason of the mitzvah or the mitzvah itself?
the mitzvah itself.
The mitzvah itself. So I want you one more thing. It's amazing. Statistic in the world. Do you know how many Jews we have in the world?
No.
Percentage-wise.
Percentage-wise, less than 1%.
Yes,
15 minutes.
you're right. It's 0.2. Less than half. You know what the percentage of the Nobel Prize among the Jews? Among the world?
A lot.
Very high.
25%. 25%, Rabotai. This is not real. He said we are 0.2% of the world, but we get 25% of the Nobel Prize. So what people think? People think, wow, the genes, you know, of the Jews, they are very smart. The brain, Am HaSefer, the people of the book, and everybody. And you know, I told you about South Korea. You know what South Korea are doing today? They are research and they're teaching Gemara. But I tell you, they all have mistakes. It's not because we have brain. You know what the Torah, the parasha said in the parasha? Omer, he said, you know, because we are action people. Not because we are looking for the reason. You know, if I'm telling a person that is not dati, you know, when you make a coffee or tea on Shabbat, how you do it? Do you know how you do it?
One keli after the other one.
So, very good. So what you need? Kli shlishi. What is kli shlishi? The hot water itself, you know, the meham is one kli. One glass is second, and from glass you take to the third one. Now, if I'm telling somebody about kli shlishi, you think I'm crazy, I'm nuts. He said, no, what is the reason? There is no logic. When I was a little boy, my father used to do kli shlishi. You know what I thought in my mind? That he's trying to make the coffee or the tea, you know, not too hot. It was hot.
Not too hard. Yeah.
I thought he wanted to. And then my father told me it's kli shlishi. It's bishul. It's cooking. So now, what is the Jewish person said? First of all, I don't know what is kli shlishi, but if my father told me that I have to take 2 glasses and make kli shlishi, I do it. But now later on, I will learn in the yeshiva, I will learn why do I need kli shlishi. Okay? But before I know the reason, I do the action. And the Torah said, you know why we are special people? We, the Jewish people, are action people. All book of Dvarim is book of action. La'asot, la'asot, la'asot. To do. And then to know the reason. Do you know the 2 magic words that we said before on Matan Torah? What do we say? 2 words. Naaseh ve. What number 1?
To do.
Naaseh. And then Ishma. Rabotai, this is the uniqueness about the Jewish people. You have to remember this. We need it. Don't be a philosopher. Don't start to say this is not realistic, this is no rational. If you are trying to look for a reason for everything, you are on the wrong spot. You're going to fall apart. You're going to fall apart sooner or later. If you're looking for a reason for everything, if Hashem said in the Torah to do it, do it. Don't use your logic, because your logic is very limited, and the logic of God is unlimited. If Hashem said to do, do. A few weeks ago, I also asked you a question. Baruch Hashem, we all honoring our parents. And always I said about Panama, I learned in Panama, one of the most important that I have learned, how people respect their grandparents. I love to see how they're taking care of the old people in the Bet Knesset. It's beautiful. So why do you respect your parents?
Because Hashem told us to.
And not what?
No.
Not because the reason, because he said it's
Who said this now?
Martha.
Martha, now you remember what we said. That's very good. Because if I do it because of logic, because my parents supported me, they gave me love, so the guy also respect his parents for the same reason. What is the difference between us and the guy? I do it because Hashem said, honor your Abba and your Ima. That's it. Tzivui. So remember, so what is easier? Martha, now see if you remember. What is easier to do, mitzvah with logic or mitzvah without any logic?
It's easier with logic.
What?
Logic, of course. It's logic. But
But what? You know what? I'll tell you, the chidush is, it's much easier to do mitzvah without logic. You know why? Why you do mitzvah without logic? Why you do? Because Hashem said. Nachon? Para aduma. Hashem said. Okay, Shabbat, by the way, is logic or not logic?
Not logic.
It's not logic, but you know what they do in the kibbutzim? I ask, the kibbutzim, they're not religious kibbutzim. He said, Reuven, Itzik said, Reuven, when is your Shabbat next week? He said, my Shabbat next week is on Wednesday. You know why they said Wednesday? Whoever has a day off, is calling Shabbat.
Day off.
But Rabbi Day said, Veshamru bnei Israel, what? La'asot et Shabbat. Shabbat, you don't make your decision when it's Shabbat. Hashem told us when it's Shabbat. So we have to do. Now, when you do a mitzvah that makes sense, is the most difficult. You know why? Because we do it because it makes sense. Don't do it because it makes sense. I do it because Hashem told me to do. So I have to elevate the mitzvah to a chok. The mitzvah that logic, that has rationale, I have to elevate the mitzvah with rationale like there is no rationale. I do it because Hashem. That's the uniqueness. Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay, now this is very important for our shiur today. Why? Now, because if you do everything by logic, and you know what, and you said you have a lot of horses, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of women, you know what happened to you? Then you get the ga'ava. When you get the ga'ava, slowly you might think you are God. Who thought he is God? Paro. And why Paro thought he is God? Because he has a lot of horses, a lot of women, a lot all this. Said, now if you said Hashem, the Torah said, if you follow my constitution, you do not increase your horses, your money, and your wives, you will be a king for a long time. Not only you, your children will inherit your kingdom. But watch what I'm telling you. In Rambam, how many mitzvot we have?
613.
613, nachon? Now, he said 613. Now Rambam, in his book of mitzvot, look line 11. Mitzvah number 363. 363. Shizira melech marbot susim. Mitzvah number 363 is not to increase susim, not to have too many horses. Number 364, line 13, Mizir HaMelech Marbot Nashim, not to have too many wives. And now 365, that Izir HaMelech Marbot Mamon, not to have too much money. כן? והוא אמר, וכסף וזהב לא ירבה לו. So these three mitzvot is part of the 613 mitzvot. You know, you see it clear in the book of Rambam, number 363, 64, and 365.
So it's for everybody, not only for the king.
What?
It's a mitzvah for everybody, not only for the kings.
But it's for the king. It's good that you point out, but in this case, now what you might ask me, okay, we're not kings, it's irrelevant to us. Nachon? But here is for the king. Not only this, by the way, you know how we divide the 613 mitzvot? How many categories we have?
To do and to not to do.
And not us.
Very good, negative and positive. How many positive we have?
248 negative.
How many?
248 negative.
Nachon, 248. Why 248?
The limbs of the body.
Nachon, the organs, the limbs of the body. Now, how many negative we have?
El resto. The other one.
So make 613 minus 248.
365, I think.
365. You know what else we have 365? 365 days a year.
Days in the year.
So now we have 365 negative and we have 248 positive. Nachon? Now, so what is the last one of negative? 365. And Rambam put the last three of the negative, you see, 363, 364, 365 is the horses, wife, and money. And this he conclude the negative mitzvot. So it's not, you know, it's not in the middle somewhere. It's the last three to show how important it is. But Malka, what you said, keep this to the end of the shiur, because you can say, okay, Rabbi Tzadi is a nice shiur, but I'm not a queen, I'm not a king. It's irrelevant to us. You will see it's very relevant.
Of course,
Why, of course?
because it's one of the 613 mitzvot. No, even if we are not king or queen.
Okay, good. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו.
Amen.
Amen.
אז אומר, okay, so if this is, you will see, you're right, it's very relevant. אמר רבי יצחק, מסכת סנהדרין, page 21, מפני מה לא נתגלו טעמי תורה? Why Hashem did not give reason to all the mitzvot? Why? Look the answer of the Gemara. שהרי שתי מקראות, we have two mitzvot, that Hashem gave reason, and who failed? גדול העולם, number one in the world.
Shlomo Hamelech.
Shlomo Hamelech. I gave reason, why not horses, why not this? And Shlomo Hamelech, the wisest person, failed.
Yeah.
Two mitzvot. נכון? He said, כתיב לא ירבה לו נשים, not to have too many wives. What Shlomo says in line 8, אני ארבה. I will have. How Shlomo HaMelech, you are so wise and you are the tzaddik. You are the son of David HaMelech. How could you dare not follow the Torah? You know why?
Because he wants to make peace with all the
That's why he's taking too many wives?
He thought he could control.
Yes.
If you have too many wives, you have good relationship with the goyim.
This and this and this.
I don't see any connection between too many wives. Too many wives is balagan gadol.
But he make it because to make peace with all those countries.
Because of wife, what has to do wives with peace?
They were the daughter of the king or whatever.
Okay, then you can answer why he took Cleopatra, why he took the daughter of Paro. Okay, but he had too many wives. You know what he said? אני הרבה ולא אסור. I can have too many wives and I will not goof because I'm very wise. That means
Gava?
Gava, not only Gava, he can how many times you said to yourself, that's irrelevant to me. I know myself. I know myself. You know, he said, I know myself. Not that he said to himself, I know the reason. And because I know the reason and Hashem gave me wisdom, I know how to control. So he used his rationale to nullify mitzvah of Hashem. That's why Hashem doesn't want to give you reason, because everybody can take the reason and say, this is irrelevant to me. Okay? Let's say, don't gossip, lashon hara. He said, oh, I'm not worried. I can go to Bet Knesset, I can go to the grip because I know I have good control on my mouth. Are you allowed to do it? No. Even in spite of the fact that you really have good control on your mouth. But you cannot say, because I have the power to control your mouth, and go and join to a group that talking lashon hara. Because Hashem said, don't. Moshav letzim lo yashav. You don't have to be with people talking lashon hara. So Shlomo Hamelech using his own common sense to nullify the common sense of God. What Hashem doesn't know. So Hashem didn't say all the kings not allowed except Shlomo. He said all the kings, including Shlomo. So why Shlomo, made this mistake? Because he used logic. That's why he said, we are special people because we are doing the mitzvah as it is. And not because of the logic. Because logic, every man and every woman can find a reason how this mitzvah is irrelevant to you. You understand what I'm saying? Don't find. And Hashem said, don't turn on the TV on Shabbat. Don't play with the Shabbat clock, with the timer. Don't play the smart, okay? Hashem, don't turn on, don't. And what happened to Shlomo? Line 10. וילד זקנת שלמה נשב איתו את לבבו. He goofed. And who make him, make the mistake? The wives. But Shlomo said, the wife will not control me, and they did control him. And said, and then the same thing with the horses. Amar Shlomo, line 12, אני הרבה ולא אשיב. I will have many horses, I will not go back to Egypt. I know myself. And then what says the pasuk? ותצא מרכבה ממצרים. And he said there is the chariot went to Mitzrayim. So Shlomo Hamelech, he said how many he failed here according to the Gemara? How many? 2. But we know how many mitzvot we have not to do? 3. Nachon? But here according to the Gemara is only horses and wives. What about money? Oh, he said now we have Yerushalmi. The Gemara in Yerushalmi in Sanhedrin, page 13, he says also he goofed one more. כסף וזהב לא ירבה לו מאוד. אמר שלמה, 3 דברים שחקה עליה מידת הדין חיללתים. Shlomo himself said that midat adin they told me not to do, and I did. I goofed big time. לא ירבה לו נשים, he said not to have too many wives, too many horses, too much money, and I did all of them, and I failed in all of them. Shlomo Hamelech himself. You know what the first letter of Yarbe? Lo Yarbe. What the first letter?
Yud.
Yud. If Shlomo Hamelech is right, that means, so who complained to Hashem? The Yud. The letter Yud. Listen. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Yud. Shebeyarbe kitrego. The Yud of the word Yarbe, she came to Hashem and she complained. Why? Setana Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, עלה ספר משנה תורה, book of דברים, נשתטח לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, they bow down to Hashem, and say, ריבון העולמים, כתבת בתורתך, you wrote in your Torah, כל די תיקש, שבטלה מקצת, בטלה כולה. If you can, are you allowed in the Torah to nullify one letter, Yud?
No.
No. If you nullify one letter, you nullify the whole Torah. The whole Torah is pasul. והרי שלמה המלך, and שלמה המלך, he's trying to uproot the Yud. One letter. אמר לי הקדוש ברוך הוא, don't worry. שלמה ואלף כיוצא בו בטלים ודבר ממך אינו בטל. Even 1,000 people like Shlomo Hamelech, they can do whatever they want. I guarantee you one letter will not remove from the Torah. Shlomo Hamelech has no ability to nullify one letter in the Torah. Because Shlomo Hamelech, he thought he's going to do it. If he's going to do it, he's going to prove the Torah is wrong. He said, no, don't worry. Hashem said to the Yud and Sefer Dvarim, don't worry. One letter will not be to remove from the Torah. Shlomo, he himself has a problem, not the Torah has a problem. That's what Sefer Dvarim said, that the letter Yud. Akarani Shlomo v'asani plaster. Shlomo uproot me and made me a fake news. And you said that if you nullify one letter, the whole Torah is nullified. And it says, in which book it says? In Dvarim. So he said the whole Dvarim, the whole book is Pasul. Hashem said the same answer like he said to the Yud. He said to the Sefer Dvarim, he said, don't worry. Shlomo batel u'me'a kayotze bo, even Shlomo and 1,000 people like Shlomo will be, but even one letter, one comma, one dot will not move from the Torah. So the Torah, the way it was given on Mount Sinai, is going to stay forever. No one will have the ability to remove or nullify a letter from the Torah. Now, what question we have to ask? How Shlomo Hamelech goofed? How is it possible? Okay? Here, all this, what you see red and yellow, is I explained to you why we don't need a reason. Because if Hashem will give to every mitzvah a reason, you will find a reason that this reason is irrelevant to you. Because you know your weakness and you know your strength. Okay? So he said, don't say about yourself. If the Torah said don't do it, don't do it. If Hashem said, if the Torah said do it, do it. And that's why, that's all the explanation here. Baalei Tosfot said, as I told you now, if somebody is not following and he has too much money, when you have too much money, you start to believe you are a very powerful man. When you start to believe that you are a very powerful man, you start to believe that you are God. And that's a very, 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 very big sin. That's gava. Not only gava, you start to worship yourself. Who worshiped himself? Paro. Do you remember what the first plague that Paro got?
The blood.
Blood.
Why blood was the first one?
Because he went to the river, Nile River.
Yes.
And he said he did not go to the bathroom.
So why? He went to the river and what happened in the river?
He made his things, his necessities.
So what he did? You know what he did? The Nile River was their God. He was bound down to the river. But he bowed down to whom? He didn't bow down to the river. When you look at the water, what do you see?
Yourself reflected.
You see yourself. Paro bowed down to himself. Because he said, I created the Nile River. Melech Malchei Amlachim, not only king. He's the one, he said, Li Yoriv Ani Asitini. And that's why Hashem gave him the blood. Now he said, Moshe said, go. Look if you can see yourself. If you can see yourself, that's why he gave him the blood. So if you have a lot of money, you might forget Hashem. You might forget Hashem, you will increase your ga'ava, and you forget Hashem completely, and you might think you are God, and you did everything to yourself. All your success is you. That's a very big error. So the mitzvah that we have with the Melech, look line 11. Tamim tiyeh im Hashem Elokecha. You know what is tamim? Complete. Complete. We say today tam in Hebrew, we say like, naive. But even naive, he said, Hashem said, I don't play game with Hashem. Okay? Hashem said, I don't. Tamim. Tamim tiyeh. He said to the king, don't forget, you had a lot of power. And look today in all the world, all over the world, all the presidents and the kings and the prime ministers, all the people has control. Some of them, most of them, you know, they goofing big time. You know why? Because they think they are God. They think that the nation belongs to them. But really the Melech, the king, he belonged to the nation. Not the nation belonged to them. But because he's rich and he has too many wives, too much wives, and this, you know, he said, Tamim tiya im Hashem Elokecha. So now he said, you know, Tamim, you have to be very simple man and complete man. Don't play the game of the philosopher. Don't be philosopher. Take the pasuk and the mitzvah as it is, as is. So now, Malka, if you remember what Malka said in the beginning of the shiur, Malka said if it's relevant to us or not. After all, this shiur is good for kings, not for us. No. Look what he says in line 13. שאנו חייבים ללמוד מפרשת המלך. We, the people, the simple people, we have to learn from this parasha of the king. שהזכיר בה כתוב טעמי מצוות. Because this is the mitzvot that Hashem gave reason, ונכשל בהם גדול העולם שלמה המלך. And the wisest of all, Shlomo Hamelech, failed. So now what? I am a simple man, I'm not a king. What should I learn about myself?
Not to find a reason, not to make it irrelevant.
Okay, good. Nachon. How we call it in Hebrew? Kal v'chomer. Remember what is Kal v'chomer? How much and more so? If Shlomo Hamelech failed, Malka, we said what we said in the beginning of the shiur, that's relevant to us. Said if Shlomo Hamelech failed, who am I not to fail? You know, so that it's relevant to every human being, this parasha. I don't have to be a king. And look all the people, you know, last week I heard in America somebody won in the mega box $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion. You know what is
Yes.
it? Huh?
In the lotto.
A lot, yeah. The mega, 1.5 billion.
$750,000 cash.
Now, the question, you know, now this man is lucky or unlucky? Of course, everybody said he's lucky. He will be lucky if he knows how to use his life and not to think he's God. If he will use the money according to the constitution and according with wisdom, you know, he might be bracha. You know, according to the Reader's Digest, 80% of the people became rich because of megabucks and lotto. 80% destroy their life. 80%, only 20% were very effective with their money. 80%, you know, say, no, we said, so this, of course, is relevant to all of us, not only to the king. So now we said, you know, Tamim tiya im Hashem Elokecha. Remember, roots. What is roots? Much more important than leaves. Because if you have more leaves than roots, that means you have more logic, more reasons. No, so when you have a little wind, one little storm can blow you up. He said, can take you away completely. But if I have a lot of action, a lot of roots, even a storm will not remove me 1 inch. I'll be strong. And what happened to all these people that, you know, became not religious? You know why? Why they became not religious? Because they're always looking for reason, taste. So somebody tell them, you know, very smart man or woman in the university, give him a proof that there is no God, there is no Torah. I said, wow, that makes sense. Okay, it's better not to be religious anymore. He said, don't use it, but the Torah is the Torah. Man, your professor in university is wiser than Hashem. So you don't believe in God. Your professor is limited. Your friend is limited. Your logic is limited. Your IQ is limited. But Hashem is infinity. And Hashem knows if He says something, there is a logic. Even Paraduma is a logic. But you don't have to know the logic. Just do it because Hashem said to do. That's the... And what book a king should take to himself to read to the whole nation, you know, in Sukkot, והיה כשבטו על כיסא וכתב לו את משנה התורה הזאת על ספר מלפני, every king should take ספר דברים and read ספר דברים, because ספר דברים is the action book. Not only the action book over there said what a king not allowed to do. So, okay, because said the king, okay, it's for you, not for us. No, it's for all the nation. He used to read Sefer Dvarim to the entire nation. So that's why he has two books, one in the Aron HaKodesh, one in his pocket. And what the pocket is was Sefer Dvarim. And this way he learned what to do and what not to do. Everything I skip, when you say I roll, that's, I explain already. So here he said again, the עולם הספר התורה השני, the second Torah, הנכנס ויוצא עמו, that every place he's going, כי תבוא כי תצא, היא כנגד מצוות התורה, is because all the מצוות of the Torah, שצריך לקיימן באמונה פשוטה. Can you translate the word אמונה פשוטה? Somebody can translate the word אמונה פשוטה?
Simple faith.
Can you explain to me what is simple faith?
You have faith in what all the Torah says without asking.
Very good. Don't play the smart guy. Simple. Simple emunah. Emunat hachamim. Our parents always did the mitzvot because of emunah pshuta. If you will start to play the smart man or the smart woman, play wise, you will fail. לכן הוא נכנס, that's why the king, כדי שיראו כל ישראל. He was always with the book in his hand, that all the Jews will see him with the book. שהוא מקיים כל המצוות. That the Melech is doing all the mitzvot bli shum itchakmut. You know what is bli shum itchakmut? Without any shtick, any trick, don't play the smart. Like he said, everything is in the book, I do. And because I do, I'm a very unique nation. That's what makes me unique, not my IQ. My IQ is high because I do what Hashem is saying. Because I realize that everything I have is from Hashem. That I am finite and Hashem is infinity. והיה וכשבטו, ונראית על כיסא וכתב לו את משנה התורה הזאת. Every king should write the ספר דברים. והייתה עמו, and it should be with you all the time, 24/7. וקרא בו כל ימי חייו. You should read the book all your life. למען ילמד, to learn. ליראה את השם אלוקיו, to have fear of God. לשמור את כל דברי התורה הזאת, to guard all the words of Torah. ואת החוקים האלה, and this constitution laws, what I put in red, לעשותם. To do it. So remember, the magic word of Sefer Dvarim is לעשות, עשייה. By the way, do you know when Hashem created the world, how many words we have? We have 4 words. Abia. You know the word Abia, Aleph, Bet, Yud, Ayin. Abia, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. I said it, I gave you one time show on this, but remember the 4th one, Atzilut, is Hashem. Bria, Yetzira, and then Asiya. The 4th one is La'asot. And we are in this world, we are in Olam Asiya. We are in the life of action. That's why Hashem called this Asiya. By the way, do you remember when you make Kiddush? Your husband, when they make Kiddush, Yom HaShishi vaychulu hashamayim va'aretz. What is the last 3 words? You want me to remind you?
Yes, please.
יום השישי ויכולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. כן? It said, באשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. אשר ברא אלוהים. Wait a minute, Hashem just finished the creation. ויכולו השמיים והארץ, נכון? Hashem finished. Hashem said, yes, I finished. Now it's your turn. Now you, לעשות. Now your job is to do. So he said, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. כן, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. You know, by the way, what the last 3 words? ברא אלוהים לעשות. What is the last letter of ברא?
Aleph.
What is the last letter אלוהים?
Mem.
And לעשות?
Taf.
What is א' מ' ת'?
Emet.
אמת. This is the אמת.
Wow.
אם כן הוסיף את החוקים האלה לעשותם. So, all this we explain. I would like to say the $1 million question. Line 16, איך נכשל שלמה המלך? דווקא בחוכמה הגדולה שהעניק לו הקדוש ברוך הוא. Hashem gave him a gift. You know when Hashem gave him, what he asked him, you know how old he was when he became a king? How old he was?
13.
12.
Say something.
12. He was before bar mitzvah. Okay? When he said, we have, so he asked him, what do you want? You want money? You want power? Or you want wisdom? Why Shlomo HaMelech says?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Why? When I judge Shoftim v'Shotrim, when I judge the people, I want to have justice. Wow. Hashem said, because you asked the right one, you will not be only wise, you will be also rich. And you have a lot of power. But watch out. What I've said, not too much. He said that, but Shlomo HaMelech failed. So the $1 million question, how Shlomo failed? So they said, "Vayehav Shlomo et Hashem lalechet," and it says Shlomo was like his father. Begivon, he was a tzaddik. He said, "Va'ata Hashem Elokea, המלכת את עבדך תחת דוד אבי, ואנוכי נער קטן לא יודע צאת, ונתת לעבדך לב שומע לשפוט." You gave me the sensibility, you gave me wisdom to distinguish between good and bad. כי מי יוכל לשפוט את עמך? Who can judge your nation? ויטב הדבר בעיני השם, כי שאל שלמה את הדבר, השם like שלמה, and he gave him a lot of wisdom. And not only this, he got a lot of richness, and he was very strong in the war. So what he said, so how Shlomo HaMelech failed?
He believed too much in himself.
That's what we said. What do you mean too much in himself?
He believed he can manage everything by himself.
נכון.
And he forgot God put him the points not to do, and he did it because he thought he can manage it.
נכון. That's what we said in the beginning. Now you will see something in addition. Beautiful explanation. By the way, do you know which book Shlomo composed?
שירי השירים.
1.
קהלת.
Kohelet 2. And what else? 3.
I forgot, Rabbi.
Mishle.
Yes.
נכון? You know what is mashal? Mashal is a fable. Okay? Metaphor. But you know how many meshalim it says, the pasuk everybody knows. There are many songs on this. Look how many meshalim, how many fables he said. וידבר 3,000 משל. 3,000 משלים. Fable he gave. וישירו 5,000, ויבואו כל העמים לשמוע את חוכמת שלמה. When Shlomo gave a shiur, you know who came to listen to him? All the kings of the world. Every king in the area in the Middle East, everybody came to listen to Shlomo. He said 3,000 meshalim. That's the book of Mishle. 3,000. Do you know what is 3,000? It's unbelievable. It's countless. You will see why I'm emphasizing this. איך ייתכן? כי שלמה המלך אשר זכה, that Shlomo HaMelech got so much wisdom, you know, he failed and he did not distinguish. נכשל בסופו של דבר, why? Like Malka you said, התחכם בחוכמתו. What he did with his wisdom, play the smart guy. נכון? Hashem gave him a high IQ. He took his wisdom and he used it for negative. He said, I can handle it. I can have too many wives and not to go. על 3 מצוות שנכשל בהם. And he did all the 3 and he failed on all the 3. Wow. All the 3 that Hashem said don't, and he does. Why? He used his wisdom for the wrong reason. Exactly what he said. But you know what the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat, page 56? So until now, how many sins we count on Shlomo that he did?
3.
3. What they are?
סוסים, נשים וכסף.
Who else? The Gemara said that Shlomo was a tzaddik like his father. His father made a sin?
Yes.
With whom? With what?
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba. Okay, everybody remember Bathsheba, נכון? But do you remember what we learned in Masechet Avodah Zarah? Martha, do you remember?
That he did not make a sin.
Now we said on David HaMelech, כל האומר דוד המלך חטא אינו אלא טועה. Whoever said David they have a sin is make mistake. Look what it says on Shlomo. That's Masechet Avodah Zarah, Masechet Shabbat, page 56, line 12. You have it? כל האומר שלמה חטא אינה אלא טועה. Whoever said that Shlomo have sinned, he is mistaken. He make a mistake. Wow, wait a minute. Until now we learned for 1 hour, we learned that Shlomo goofed 3 times. And Shlomo HaMelech himself admit that he goofed big time. Something like David. He said, מפורש בהם דברים ברורים שעבר על 2, 3. We just learned it was clear that he goofed and he violated 3 times the law. כן? And Hashem said, don't worry, Shlomo HaMelech and 1,000 like him cannot destroy 1 letter in my Torah.
Right.
Rav Friedman gave beautiful answer for this. כן? That's the same. מפני מה לא נתגלו טעמי תורה? That we said because of logic. Don't use your logic. מבואר כי בכוונה תחילה, that's why Hashem did not give a reason. לגלות טעמי מצוות, כי ידע שאם if Hashem will give טעמי מצוות, will fail because we will use the reason, the logic, how it's irrelevant to us. And that's why. And said, מדוע בחר הקדוש ברוך הוא לגלות טעמי המצוות? So why Hashem gave the reason דווקא for the king? דווקא בשתי מצוות אלו, or 3 מצוות. Why these 3 מצוות? Hashem did decide to give reason, but Hashem said, I don't want to give reason. So why he said to give reason? Why he make these 3? Somebody has any logic? Why?
To prove to us that we can goof, even if the wisest man can goof, we can also goof if we know the reasons and think about them.
Very good. Why you said this? Do you know why? I know why you said this. Because of David HaMelech. He said, look מה מצאנו דוד המלך. שמצינו אצל דוד המלך עליו השלום שנכשל בדבר עבירה, he failed with Bathsheba. He said חטאתי. David HaMelech said חטאתי, I have sinned. You know what the Gemara says? The Gemara said he did not make sin. You know who make him make the sin?
The woman.
Hashem. Why? Do you remember why? You know why? Because Hashem said to teach everybody in the world. Video. He said if David HaMelech, Hashem accepted his teshuvah, everybody can make teshuvah. So now the same thing said, כדי להורות תשובה ליחיד. Now this is single, if I goofed, if חס ושלום, I said 3 times, I cannot even think of it, that a married man going to sleep with a married woman, חס ושלום, but he said, you can make tshuva. You can make tshuva. By the way, for this sin, specific sin, they said, but Gehinom, for sure he's going to inherit. He's going to have Gehinom. Even tshuva will save you from something, but not from Gehinom, because this is a very, very, one of the worst things. But he said, but if you goofed, he said, if Shlomo HaMelech, if David HaMelech did, and Hashem accepted his tshuva, every single person can make tshuva. Look, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Rabbi Yochanan and behalf of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Lo David Raui Le'oto Ma'aseh de Bathsheba. David did not want to do with Bathsheba, and he really can control his Yetzer Hara. Ve'lo Yisrael Ru'im Le'oto Ma'aseh. Even us as a Jewish nation, you know what is the worst thing we did as a nation?
The Egel
HaZahav. And you know what the Gemara says here?
Hashem forced us.
Hashem forced us to do good memory, Martha. Hashem, we did it in different shiur. So why Hashem forced us to do it? That now, as a public, as a community, if we goofed as a community, we all can make tshuva as a community. Why? If Hashem forgive to Am Israel of Egel HaZahav, Hashem forgive Am Israel for any sin. But make tshuva. Now David is about single. If David HaMelech was forgiven as a single person because he was with Bathsheba, by the way, Bathsheba was not married woman. You know that?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
Every soldier that go to the war had to give the get
Beautiful, beautiful.
before
So
going to the.
that's why I said before, don't say David HaMelech, but said even if you go, I don't want to has v'shalom to encourage men to say, you know, I can go to another woman and Hashem will forgive me as he forgive to David. Has v'shalom. האומר אחטא ואשוב, אחטא ואשוב, אין יום הכיפורים מכפר. If you say, I will make a sin and I'll make tshuva, Yom Kippur is not effective. Don't play the game with Hashem. Hashem knows exactly what you have in your mind. It's only when you regret really after the fact what you did. So even as a nation, Hashem forgive us, and because Egel HaZahav, and the private man is David HaMelech. אלא למה אסור לומר לך שאם חטא יחיד, if a single person have sinned, אומרים לו לך אצל יחיד, go to דוד המלך, and then you can make תשובה. ואם חטאו ציבור, if the public, made sin, he said, לכו אצל ציבור, לעם ישראל. Now he said, look what he says, מה דכתיב שמואל ב', he said, נאום דוד בן ישי, שהקים עולה תשובה, של תשובה. בגמרא מסכת בבא בתרא, it says, דוד שהניח בן כמותו, נאמרה בו שכיבה. It doesn't say that David died. You know what it says on David? וישכב דוד עם אבותיו. He lied down with his fathers. David never died. We have to understand the concept, what is never died. You know who else never died?
The tzadikim don't die.
נכון, but it's particular men, parallel to David. Eliyahu Navi went high, נכון. But I'm talking, no, we know that he was buried and it says never died. Yaakov Avinu, the Gemara said clear, more than anybody else. Yaakov Avinu lo met. Lo met. Okay, what you said tzadikim, this is the root. But this is not the time to explain. I hope you remember what we learned. But it said, Vaishchiva. Whoever lishkav im avotav, he was a tzaddik. And דוד המלך said, וישכב עם אבותיו. מעתה יש לומר, כי כמו שהיה אצל דוד המלך, כאן היה אצל שלמה, גם שלמה בנו, שפירש הקדוש ברוך הוא תחילת עמי המצוות בשלושה מצוות אלו, you know Hashem gave him this מצוות to fail. Why Hashem make שלמה המלך fail?
To give us the opportunity of...
בדיוק, to teach us. To teach us of שלמה המלך is a victim. He's a korban. You know, Hashem make him to make the sin, we can make Kal Vachomer. If Shlomo HaMelech used his common sense, his logic, and he failed, who am I? Who am I to trust my wisdom? That's learning for all of us. That's Tamim Tiyah Im Hashem Elokecha. Faith, simple faith, as Malka said. She said, simple faith. How do you say emunah in Spanish?
Faith.
How do you say pashut?
Simply.
That's it. Emunah pshuta, perfect. Bli shum itchakmut. Don't play the smart guy. Don't try to play the smart guy. If Shlomo, so Hashem took Shlomo, why Shlomo? Why not? We have many kings, in the world. We have Ahab, we have Yerovam, we have many kings. Rahavam. Why Shlomo?
Because he was the wisest one.
Because he was the wisest one. If he's the wisest one fail, so who am I not to fail? What a learning we have from Shlomo and David. So they said, Shlomo said, Kol ha'omer Shlomo chata enai latoy. If you say Shlomo have sinned, you make a big mistake. It's mistake. כי שניהם היו צדיקים, קדושים טהורים. Both of them were tzadikim, pure and holy people, David and Shlomo. ומה שנכשלו, the fact they failed, כדי להורות דרכי השם לרבים, is to teach us. Is ממש, Shlomo HaMelech, and you can say to Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Why I have to be the role model? David HaMelech said, why are you doing this to me? And it's them. No, you are the role model. I have to use you to teach the Jewish people. Last but not least, do you remember what he said? How many books he wrote?
3 books.
Remember the name?
Yes, Mishle Kohelet, Shir HaShirim.
Shir HaShirim.
Why? He was so wise. So 3 books is a lot?
Yes.
For us, yes.
For a wise man like Shlomo Hamelech, 3 books is a lot?
No.
No.
So why only 3?
Because in one he has all what you have to know in life. Like in Kohelet, he tells you
What
all what you
Kohelet?
have to know about life.
Well, my question is, why 3? Why not 5? Why not 10?
Ah,
You know why 3? How many sins he did?
3.
3. Now, in spite of the fact that it is not his fault, he has to make tikkun. Even he did it without his fault. So every book is a tikkun for something.
wow.
Every משלי קהלת, הוא said, מעתה, כמו שמצינו אצל דוד המלך, שנכשל בחטא, לא מצד עצמו. He failed not because of himself. בכדי להורות תשובה, because to teach us the same thing שלמה המלך. He did 3 sins to teach us, תהיה נביא. Why? Look, שלמה חיבר 3 ספרים. He composed 3 books. לתקן, to make tikkun, for the 3 negative that he failed. Even Shlomo HaMelech said it's not his fault, like Egel HaZahav. Do we have to make tshuva on Egel HaZahav? Yes. In spite of the fact that it's not our fault. הואיל ואת מקישו מכל צד, מה הבנו ממנה החלב, I'm going to skip this to go, you know what is, מה עניין 3 ספרים שחיבר? Why the 3? למה שמחה לו הקדוש ברוך הוא על כל עוונותיו? Why, even though he was a role model, Hashem clean up, even, you know, he clean up even this dirt, this klipa for Shlomo HaMelech, because of the 3 books. לכן השפיע עליו רוח הקודש, Hashem gave him רוח הקודש to compose these 3 books. כנגד, why? וזה שאמר המדרש, the מדרש, שרתה עליו רוח הקודש. You know, the Holy Divine was inspired on Shlomo HaMelech, ואמר 3 ספרים, and he composed 3 books, משלי, קהלת, and שיר השירים. So let's look what is the essence of each book. In this we conclude this שיעור. הפליא שלמה המלך לחזק את ישראל ללכת בדרכי השם ולהידבק. He said he wanted to give us חיזוק, להידבק באמונה פשוטה, to be with simple faith with God, בלי שום התחכמות, not to play smart guys. הכל כדי לתקן, everything to make tikkun. So let's say how we make the tikkun. ספר משלי, הוא לתקן מה שנכשל בלב, שלא ירבה לו סוסים. The Mishle is against the סוסים. What has to do horses with משלי? Because שהרי ריבוי השתדלות של האדם בענייני הטבע יותר מן הראוי, לכן הסמיך 2 פסוקים. Look, 2 פסוקים of שלמה המלך in משלי. אין חוכמה ואין תבונה ואין עצה לנגד השם. No wisdom, no sensibility, no suggestion, no advice לנגד השם. Nothing is compared to Hashem. Don't play the smart. What the next pasuk? סוס מוכן ליום מלחמה ולהשם התשועה. He used the word sus, the word in book of Mishle. You know, when you prepare yourself for a fight, what you prepare? The horse, נכון? Now, when you go to fight against Yetzer Hara, prepare the horse, prepare the weapon that you have to fight against Yetzer Hara. But he used to fight, he used the word sus. That's why the book of Mishle is parallel to the Susim. וכתב רבנו יונתן. What?
There's a pasuk that says, "Ele berechel."
Ah, yeah. You took my next pasuk. Good.
And that's my pasuk.
Good, very good. I put in my note, very good. מצוין, excelente. סוס מוכן ליום מלחמה. Even we said, you know, everything you have to be for the Yom Adin, for Yom Milchama, you have to prepare yourself. Now, exactly, you know what Esther said. You know, we said in Hebrew, now I'll give you Hidush, Esther, for what you said. We all know, Ele barechev, ve'ele basusim, ve'anachnu b'shem Hashem. Who is Ele?
Some and some.
How many nations we have in the world that don't like us?
70.
70.
70. You know, if you divide them to two groups, how many in each group?
35.
35. Who is the head? Who are these two groups? Which religion today?
The Arabs, not Muslims.
The
Christians.
the Christianity and the Islam. نخون? Who is the father of the Arabs?
Ishmael.
Ishmael. Who is the father of Christianity?
Esau.
Esau. We have now, you know what is Ele? Aleph is the number one. נכון? Lamed Hey. How much is Lamed Hey?
He is 5.
35. Ele Barechev, Ishmael and his 35 nations. Barechev in vehicles. Ve'ele Basusim. Ele, Ishmael and his 35 nations, you know, with horses. Va'anachnu. We. So let me ask you now, but be honest with me. If we are going for a war, are we going to say Tehillim or fight?
Both.
Ah, how you see it from the pasuk? Ele barechev ve'ele basusim ve'anachnu b'shem Hashem.
Maybe that the ones that are saying Tehillim and the ones that are doing the war.
Ah, he said, Ele barechev ve'ele basusim, period. But we, rechev susim en Hashem. You know, when we have a fight, I told you about Rabbi Kanievsky. When he was a little boy, he was Ilui. He was very wise student. It was 1948, the war against Arabs. You know what the Rosh Yeshiva told him? You go study Torah for Am Israel. You go study Torah for Am Israel. And the other students, he told them, take stick. We didn't have rifle. And take stick. If the Arabs come fight with your sticks. That's the situation was in 1948. But Ele Barechev, Ele Basusim, we have Air Force, we have the tanks, we have Commando, we have Golani, we have Navy, Baruch Hashem. We have Rechev, and we have Susim, and we have Hashem. So when you go and fight, it says, remember the fight against Midian? You know how many soldiers we have? Elef Lamate. What is Elef Lamate? 1,000 soldiers for each tribe. So how many soldiers we had?
12,000.
4,000.
I have news for you. 24. But simple math is 12. You know what the pasuk says? Elef lamate, elef lamate. Twice. 1,000 soldiers fighting and 1,000 people say Tehillim. You know, we are fighting and we have some people in the yeshiva, Ba'orim, they study Torah. You think the Torah doesn't protect us? Of course it's protecting us. But don't say that only study Torah. David HaMelech said, you must have a very strong army. You must have. He was very upset when Shaul HaMelech got killed. He said, Lelamed bnei Yehuda kashet. And we have to take the soldiers and train them to be the strongest army. And then, Be'ezrat Hashem, we also, you know, people that studying Torah. And now, Ele Barechev, now, Esther, you see the deep point? Is Ele Barechev, Ele Basusim, period. But we, Rechev, Susim, and Hashem. But Hashem, you know, he said, you know, we need all. That's what he said. So Mishle, as we said, you know, is really horses, Susim. All this is about the Susim. All this, what I'm rolling now, is about Susim. Let's go to Kohelet. What do you think, Kohelet? So Mishle is a tikkun for the Susim. Esther, you see line 6?
Let me see.
Can you see it?
They are both los susim.
You see in the small one?
Ele Berechev, Ele Basusim.
You see?
This is my pastor rabbi. That's why I know.
Yeah, no, I just put it today. When what you have in your mind, it came straight to my mind. This pasuk. So I put in parentheses. Ele barechev, ele basusim. Now, so now Mishle is susim. What about Kohelet?
Kohelet is about life, about the meaning of
But
life.
in Kohelet we have stories of many wives.
No, it's Kesef.
No, life.
But what the Kohelet increase all the time? What is he proud of himself?
Kesef.
Kesef, money. אומר כסף וזהב לא ירבה למאות, everything he said, you know, I have garden, I have furniture, I have swimming pool, outside, indoor, who can compete with me? שלמה המלך said to the people, compete with me. מה אמרת? הבל הבלים, אמר קהלת. You know why I said הבל הבלים? Because I had a lot of money and I failed. הבל הבלים, אמר קהלת. Look what he says in line 12, in קהלת פסוק ח'. כינסתי לי, I gathered myself, I collected, גם כסף וזהב. A lot of money, a lot of silver, a lot of gold. No one in the world had like I have. And it's nothing, הבל הבלים. הכל הבל הבלים. You know what the last pasuk of Kohelet? Second to the last. סוף דבר. סוף דבר. הכל נשמע. את האלוהים ירא ואת מצוותיו שמור. כי זה כל האדם. So they said, you want, you know, because people, by the way, Kohelet is very complicated, a lot of contradiction. So many contradictions that the rabbis did not want to put it in the Bible. They wanted to exclude Kohelet from the Tanakh. And you know why they decided? They said they open with Dvar Torah and end up with Dvar Torah. Because of this pasuk. This pasuk says the tachlit, the purpose of a human being, sof davar, the end of everything, is mitzvot Hashem. Yirat shamayim. All the rest is finite. All the rest is tools, is equipment to use to serve Hashem. Not chas v'shalom against Hashem. So Kohelet is really parallel to money. So now we know Mishle parallel to Susim, Kohelet. What we have left? Shir HaShirim. What Shir HaShirim? What the whole story of Shir HaShirim?
Nashim.
Nashim, the Isha, the woman, and Hashem. He said, you know, and that's why he said, שלפי שהרהרתי אחר מעשיי, you know, מעשיו נכשלתי. So he wrote the book of Shir HaShirim to explain to us the connection between Hashem and Am Yisrael. He's not woman. And ספר השירים היא תיקון שנכשל בלב שלא ירבה לו נשים. He made a תיקון about the woman. על כן הפליא לגלות סתרי תורה קודש קודשים. He got, you know, ספר שיר השירים is unbelievable. There are so many secrets in Shir HaShirim. They call it not Kodesh, Kodesh Kodashim, or Shir HaShirim. And if you know somebody going to Kabbalah and study Shir HaShirim with Kabbalah, so many secrets. Keshoshana ben Ahohim, like a rose, flower, among in the midst of the thorns. Ken Ra'ayati ben Abanot. So my wife, among all the girls. כתפוח בעצי היער כן דודי בין הבנים, בצילו חימתי וישבתי ופריום מתוק וחיכי. To show the connection between Hashem and Am Yisrael. Now, my dear friends, so remember what I told you about the Aleph in the beginning of the Torah?
Hashem, Aluf.
Aluf. Remember how to say to train?
The same word.
Le'alef, the verb. So do you remember how many Meshalim he wrote?
How many books?
We said before, how many Meshalim he wrote in the book of Mishle?
3,000.
3,000. By the way, if you try to count, you will never find 3,000. So what is 3,000? 3,000 משל תלת יודין. He connect the 3,000 to 3 יוד. Why? וידבר 3,000 משלי, משל, רבנו בחסד על התורה שהכוונה בזה על 3 ספרים שחיבר שלמה המלך. You know what Shlomo Hamelech is doing to us in these 3 books? מאלף אותנו. He training us. When he said 3,000, so the word alafim, can you translate to English? What is alafim?
Millions.
Thousands. But he said, don't say 1,000. Alfim. Not alafim. Alfim. What is alfim? Aleph. You know how many aleph we have in this 3 book?
אלף אלפים.
No, how many aleph? Not elef. Elef is 1,000. Aleph is the letter aleph. If each book is 1 aleph, so how many aleph we have?
3.
3. So 3,000. He doesn't say 3,000. He said we have 3 aleph. 1 Mishle, 1 Kohelet, 1 Shir HaShirim. מצינו שמתוך חוכמתו הגדולה שלימד מן התורה, חיבר 3, he composed 3 books, משלי, שיר השירים וקהלת. וזהו שאמר 3,000 משל. 3,000, not 3,000, 3 Aleph. So the word 1,000 and the word Aleph is very similar. So people wrote 3,000. Even look at the translation in English or in Spanish, you will see the word thousands. But the Hidush we learn in this shiur is not 1,000, is Aleph. אלופו של עולם, השם. ונראה לי כאלפים מלשון לימוד החוכמה. Shlomo was Chacham, and he's trying to teach us the Chokhmah, the wisdom. And it says in the book of Eov, Alefcha Chokhmah. I will teach you wisdom. You know what is wisdom mean? When God is inside you. When God is inside you, I put Aleph inside your brain. When I put Aleph inside your brain, you have Chokhmat Elokim. And I would like, to end up with beautiful, beautiful saying that you know it by heart. And I don't know if you know the meaning. You know which month we are the happiest month? The 12 months? Which month?
Adar.
Adar. Do you remember when? From Purim? When you start to be?
משנכנס אדר.
Keep going. משנכנס Adar.
מרבים בשמחה.
Now, listen, it's beautiful. It said, okay, translation, when Adar begins, you increase happiness. Nachon?
Yes.
But he says, no, you know what he says? What letter is God?
Aleph.
Aleph. If you take the word Adar and split it to 2, Aleph and Dar, you know what is Dar in Hebrew? How do you say apartment in Hebrew?
What?
Dira. What is Ladur? To live. Dar, when we say the word Dar, is Gar. It's like Gimel. Dar, Dira, apartment. Why you call it apartment? So Mishenichnas. What is Mishenichnas? Enter. Who entered? Aleph. Mishenichnas Aleph. When you enter God inside you, you increase happiness. You have no control. משנכנס Adar, משנכנס Alefcha Chokhmah. When you put Aleph inside you, even you don't want to be happy, you have no control. The happiness. And if you look at your neighbor, look at your community, look at your family, who is the happiest one? The one feels God inside himself. That God lives, dwell inside you. When God dwells inside you, you are the happiest person in the world. That we said, שלושה חיבורים. כי בשלושת הספרים לימד שלמה. So we said, that's now we understand what is Alfim. Now, do you remember, by the way, when Moshe asked Hashem, if they ask me, what is your name? What should I say?
I'll be what I'll be.
What? Ehyeh asher ehyeh. What is the first letter of Ehyeh?
Aleph.
What the second asher?
Aleph.
Ehyeh.
Aleph.
How many Aleph you have?
3.
3 Aleph. 3,000. If you have Ehyeh asher ehyeh inside you, then that's the 3,000. And the most beautiful thing that I have learned here is about when you said, I skip the letter Yud. It's also, but because we don't have time, I would like to go when you dance for Hatan and Kala. Remember when you read, it's a big mitzvah. By the way, big mitzvah. When you go to Hatuna, you know that you have to make the lo yarbe, lo yarbe, lo yarbe. You know the first letter is Yud, Yud, Yud. Nachon? Yarbe, yarbe, yarbe. And and the 3 lavin, where we said Susim, Nashim, and money. So we have 3 Yudin, נכון? ללמדך שלא ישתמש ביוד יוד חוכמה. Now the letter Yud, what she represent? You know what she represent? By the way, all my children start with Yud. Yaniv, Yav, Yahel, Yagil. And my name is Yigal.
Wow.
You know why he said Yud? You know the song Bar Yochai Nimshachta? You know the song, נכון? So it said Yod Chokhmah Keduma. Yod, the letter Yod represent wisdom. So now, but now, if you represent wisdom, is good or bad?
Actually, it's better.
What, bad or good?
It's good.
Wait, I heard good and I heard bad. Make up your mind.
It's good. Good wisdom is good.
You said good. Esther, what you said?
Wisdom is good.
Wisdom is good. I tell you what, you forgot the answer. Depend.
Actions are better.
Depend. It depends what you do with your wisdom. If I'm using my wisdom like Shlomo Hamelech to make, I have enough wisdom, to control Yetzer Hara, so the Chokhmah is not good. But what is Chokhmah? Remember what is roots? What is roots? Action. If I use the action of Hashem without play smart, don't play wise. If you are wise, you know that the wisdom can fail you. If Hashem said to do, don't play game with God. Don't play game with God. If Hashem said, he said, I remember when I was principal, I told you, I said to all my teacher, when I consult also today principals, he said, when you have a talk with a woman teacher in your office, you know what you have to make sure?
The door is open.
Very good, Martha. Why?
Yehud.
Yafeh, very good. Who said not to have Yehud? Hashem.
Hashem.
Hashem. Now, what I can say, now, I'm talking about principles, people are very good. They don't have even in mind to have a woman. But what Hashem said to you, don't play game with me. Don't say, I can close the door and be with her alone. Don't play. Even you don't do anything. You know what people say behind the door? Wow! Did you see him with her alone for 30 minutes? The gossip is going to be so big you have no control. Go prove that you are a tzaddik, you didn't do anything. If Hashem said Yechud, be careful. So the Yod Chokhmah, the Chokhmah is good when you are using your Chokhmah to obey Hashem.
The proper way.
And not Chas v'Shalom to say, I can control. You cannot, en apotropos la'arayot. You know what is an apotropos la'arayot? When you're talking about men and women, don't control your brain. Don't count on your brain. Because then you lose everything. Whoever tried to test Hashem, he failed. That 3,000 משל. I would like to go to, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, we said. כן, מסכת כתובות, I will go to the wedding. הנה. רב שמואל ברב יצחק, מרקד התלת. He was dancing 3. What is 3? פרש רש"י שהיה מרקד לפני הכלה בשלושת הדסים. He took 3 הדסים, and with 3 הדסים, he danced in front of the כלה. Why 3 הדסים? וצריך להבין העניין שהיה מרקד דווקא עם 3 הדסים. Why he took 3 הדסים? לפי דברנו יש לומר שהתכוון לשמח ולחזק את החתן ואת הכלה. He tried to make them so happy. Why 3 הדסים? Tell me between you and me, which flower is nicer, rose or hadass? Rose, shoshana. So why take הדסים? וצריכים על עצמם עול גדול לבנות בית נאמן בישראל. וצריך סייעתא דשמיא, to build up a loyal house in Hashem, in עם ישראל. You need help of Hashem. בכל צעד ושעל, הן בגשמיות והן ברוחניות. Why we are praying for the Hatan and the Kala? All of you has the zchut to marry your children. What did you pray for them? What? Bayit Ne'eman b'Israel. Built up a good Jewish house in Israel. And you have good parnasa. And you have good Jewish education to your children. Nachon? But my prayer not always enough. You know what I need? What I need? Siyata dishmaya. We need help from God. It's not easy to build up a loyal house. כן, מטעם זה, this is the reason he took 3 הדסים. Why? כדי לרמוז בכך על 3 התיבות שאמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, because 3 הדסים is כנגד אהיה אשר אהיה. ונרמז, have this אהיה אשר אהיה is 3 הדסים, ונרמז דבר זה באמת שאמרו בגמרא, מרקד התלת. When Rabbi Shmuel was dancing atlat, can you break the word atlat? How do you say in Aramaic 3?
No,
I don't know.
You don't know. How do you say 3 in Hebrew?
Shalosh.
Shalosh. By the way, shin is like tough. Tlat. Tlat is 3. Okay? When you say in Aramaic, tlat is 3. Now, if you take the word atlat, meraked atlat, you know what is? Break the word aleph, tlat.
3.
3 what? 3 aleph. Aleph, tlat. נכון? So we say 3 aleph. התלת הוא אותיות א' תלת, שהתכוון, why he was dancing with 3 aleph? I bless you that you will have a house, that Hashem will live in your house. You know what's his name? Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. 3 aleph. He said, I bless you, this the 3 הדסים, כדי לרמוז לחתן והכלה, כי אם יהיו דבוקים בהשם, if you cling to Hashem, מובטח להם, it's guarantee that Hashem will supervise them, Hashem will watch them, Hashem will protect them, ויעמוד לימינם שיצליחו בכל אשר יפנו. The חתן והכלה will be very successful. But he said, remember, אהיה אשר אהיה. ולפי זה נשכיל להבין מה שרמז רב שמואל בר נחמן בר יצחק, דבר זה דווקא על ידי פעולת הריקודים. You know why? So why he was dancing? Tell me, when you dance, what you do with your feet?
Moving.
But moving up or down?
Up.
Up and then what?
Down.
Down. He said, פעולת הריקוד when you dance, שעולים כלפי מעלה ויורדים למטה. Now, when you elevate yourself to whom? To Hashem. And then what you going down? Who is coming down? Hashem. So I elevate myself to Hashem and Hashem come to me. וכך חוזר חלילה עולים למעלה ויורדים למטה. והרי this is the clear רמז אהיה אשר אהיה. The 3 aleph. כי אם האדם מתחבר עם הקדוש ברוך הוא, if you cling to Hashem, ועולה במחשבתו בדיבורו ומעשיו כלפי מעלה, you think always about Hashem, כי אז הקדוש ברוך הוא יורד אליו לסייעו ולחזקו בכל מה שצריך. And Hashem really, you know, really watching you and he's in you. He said, איש ואישה ושכינה על גביהם. And if you open the door to Hashem, you know what you have to do that Hashem will enter you to your house?
Cling to Hashem.
What? Say it again.
Cling to Hashem.
How you cling to Hashem?
You have to be a vessel for him to come.
Yes, what you have to do? Which value I have to have? Which value? ענווה, צניעות. Remember that he is everything. הכל שלו. Everything I have is belong to him. If I have ענווה, if you have גאווה, you know you are like what? When you take a balloon and put air inside the balloon, what you have to do to blow up the balloon?
Air. To put air in.
What you have to do, take a needle. One needle, psh, all the air. He said, if you have gava, you have too much of air inside you. You have no room for me. You want to have room to be in models. משנכנס אדר. Put aleph, asher ehyeh. Put aleph, 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 and then I will be with you. Guarantee, promise to Hashem. My dear friend, I gave you one time סגולה. החידה said, if he said יהי רצון מלפניך, כן? שבזכות שמך הגדול אהיה אשר אהיה. And you said it clear and loud. Whatever you want פרנסה, you want good health, you have good שידוך, good רפואה שלמה. 3 times clear, החידה. And Ben Ishai brought the חידה, guarantee that Hashem will be with you. If you want, I will send Martha this גולה, and you do it, especially in בית כנסת, when ארון הקודש is פתוח, and בעזרת השם. אהיה אשר אהיה. Thank you very much.
עסקו ברוך.
חזק וברוך רבי.
חזקו ואמצו. ברוכה תהיו, חזקו ואמצו.
תודה